Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of She Plays Games. I really hope you guys are all doing okay, whether you're still working, in isolation, what have you. It's going to be a really tough few months for all of us. So I just hope that we can all just try to keep positive as much as we can and just carry on with things. With that in mind, I also wanted to give a little announcement. I've actually started up a Discord channel for She Plays Games. I hope that you all can use it as a resource to talk to other women in the games industry, share advice, post job listings, and so on. I thought it'd be great to have a place for everyone to just come together and help each other, so I really hope that you can join. You can find the invite link to the Discord on my pinned tweet at She Plays Podcast. Now on to this episode. Today I'm talking with Clarissa Go, who is the Chief of Staff at Mighty Bear Games. Clarissa started work as an intern at Ubisoft Singapore. Over the years, as her career prospered, she has also seen the wider Singaporean gaming industry flourish. Now in her role as Chief of Staff at Mighty Bear Games, it's her role to nourish that talent and ensure that her company produces the best games that they can. I really hope you enjoy Clarissa's story, and if you like what I do, please be sure to subscribe to my podcast on your chosen platform. This is episode 16 of She Plays Games. Welcome to the show, Clarissa.
Hi.
So, first off, you're the Chief of Staff at Mighty Bear Games, which it sounds very prestigious having the chief in the name. How do you manage all of your tasks and just stay motivated, as it feels like you're sort of like the engine of the company?
Right. So I'll start a bit by introducing myself and my career progression to this date. I started out in technical operations when I started in games. And from there, I moved on to be a project manager on Assassin's Creed Origins. We were working on gameplay features. And after that, I was live operations manager on Skull and Bones. And following that, I am now Chief of Staff at Mighty Bear Games.
And so you do like recruitment and like all sorts of things, don't you?
Right, recruitment is one of those things, but pretty much my core responsibility is taking care of anything that is not core development. So what it means is that I'm responsible for a lot of the day-to-day operations in the studio. So my unofficial band name, this is a little bit cheesy. I am Mama Bear.
Oh,
Yeah, just kind of making sure that everything the team needs is taken care of so that they can do their best at making the games. But my official band name is Claire Bear.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it.
Yep. So another aspect of what I do at the company at a more strategic level is making sure that we can scale the company sustainably. What this means is to make sure that our team is ready to support our business growth. And it's also making sure that the foundations are in place. So we are a pretty new company. So a lot of it is to make sure that we build good foundations so that when we do hire people and we hire quickly, it's to ensure that our team processes, our team culture is maintained. And right now, one of the biggest things that I'm working on is growing the team. So I'm looking for top-class product managers and game designers. And yeah, so a lot of my time goes towards recruiting and interviewing, making sure that we can find the right people for the roles, and also making sure that we grow and kind of just maximize the capabilities of our current team. So kind of helping our current team grow as well.
It's interesting as well because like there's quite a few of you from sort of similar companies because obviously you're from Ubisoft.
Right.
And I think was I seeing correctly that is it Simon who's from Ubisoft as well, Simon Davis?
That is exactly right. That's where we met.
Oh wow!
So I was working with him on a game called Ghost Recon Online. It was rebranded as Ghost Recon Phantoms. And yeah, so that was the role where I was in technical operations. So to shed a bit more light on what we do in technical operations, it's a lot about making sure that we monitor the game. So Ghost Recon Phantoms was an online game. So it's make sure that the game is online.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Making sure that players can access the game. And yeah, so and that there aren't any expected reasons for the game to be offline. Of course,
Mm.
and if it is, making sure that we get it back online as quickly as possible because our players, we have very passionate players who love to play the game.
Yeah, no, they would be very upset to not have to not be able to play it. But yeah, I mean, considering your work as a live operations manager, like what appealed to you about becoming a chief of staff at Mighty Bear Games?
So that was something that that is an interesting point actually. When I was working as a live operations manager, a lot of it is making sure that, okay, players can always access the game. So obviously when players want to play the game, they're not thinking about whether they can log in or not, things like that, right? So it's kind of making sure that things are always running. And that's pretty much the core part. And yeah, so a lot of it entailed working with technical teams or infrastructure teams, teams that really support the game in the background and ensuring that these teams have what they need to best serve our players. And well, after 6 years of being at Ubisoft and going through multiple roles, really I felt that it was good to take the next step, which is why I moved to Mighty Bear Games. So I had known Simon from when we were both working at Ubisoft. So Simon's our CEO at Mighty Bear,
Yeah.
just to mention it. The vision is pretty much to build generation defining games. So when we're talking about things like generation defining, what does it really mean to us? I could draw an example from Pixar, for example, right? So Pixar is something that a wide range of audiences enjoy. Kids enjoy it, adults enjoy it, but the key thing is that kids and adults are able to enjoy it at different levels. And yeah, so that was something that really appealed to me. And the other big thing in terms of working culture, the type of culture that we want to build at Mighty Bear Games and what we are working on, it places a lot of emphasis on diversity. So in terms of gender, ethnicities, nationalities, these are the kind of values that I hold pretty close personally as well.
Because, yeah, I mean, like if the numbers speak for themselves. They just recently did like a survey, I think of the UK, and it's so predominantly male. So like getting our numbers up is just, oh, it's so important. It's so hard, but it's so important.
Yeah, so in the end, what really appealed to me about being chief of staff was the opportunity to kind of grow the team and the studio in that direction. Because for me, a personal mission is to make sure that we help younger gaming professionals to build their career in the same way that I was given an opportunity.
Do you feel like there's a lot of transferable skills between those roles?
Certainly, yeah, of course. So both my roles at Ubisoft and at Mighty Bear Games, they kind of have the same objective, the same very broad North Star objective, which is to always keep things moving. So with live operations is to make sure that the game stayed live, and as chief of staff is to make sure that the team had what they needed in terms of tools or in terms of any kind of help to focus on making the best games that they can make.
Mm.
So a lot of it involves building the support structures. So when we're running a company, a thing that doesn't get mentioned very often is the support structure. So and when I talk about support structure, is kind of the system in place to help take the burden off the development team. So if it's not relating to core development, it's kind of to take all those distractions away. So it involves things like, of course, making sure that we have the right office space, our team has the right equipment, even taking care of daily things like accounting, or even things like what kind of productivity software do we use? Do we use Trello? Do we use Monday? Do we use Jira? Things like that. It may sound a bit mundane, but it's really those little things that kind of contribute toward building a team, so that they don't really have to think about it. And another big part of it is making sure that when we have someone new or someone more junior come in, is to make sure that they get the education and training that they need. So we have things like a games lunch, where we select a game and we play that game as a team for the week. So for
Oh, that's so
example,
cool.
for example, this week we were looking at Mobile Legends. So what happens after that is after we play the game, we get together in a bit of a discussion, and we kind of give feedback on what we like, what we didn't like about other games, and also how we can use that to improve our games.
Wow, that's really, really cool. Because, yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is that you're coming with all these different opinions, but you can learn so much from seeing what other people do.
Yeah, and the other big part of it is, of course, just to understand what's out there in the market.
Mm.
And on top of that, we also complement that with what we call zeitgeist presentations.
Hmm.
So sounds pretty cool. So what we do is that we gather information on the latest comings and goings in terms of pop culture, what are the latest movies out there, what are people really talking about at this point of time. So, for example, one week it could be, say, a Pixar movie, which we all
Yeah.
love. And the next could be, I don't know, maybe the next Batman movie.
Yeah. Well, I guess you kind of need it as well for things like Battle Royale because of the skins that you have.
Yeah, so we really want to make games that are kind of right with popular culture as well.
So, I mean, starting way, way back, like what made you initially want to get into games? Was it a specific game or some kind of connection?
Yeah, so that was a specific game. It was Prince of Persia.
Oh my gosh, I
From
love Prince of
yeah,
Persia.
yeah, the Sense of Time series.
Mm.
So at that time it was like what, 12?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got an Xbox as a gift, and I hurriedly went out to buy a game to play on it.
Yeah.
And Sense of Time was the first game I bought for the Xbox. So I put it in and I was completely blown away by it. So at that time, pixel art was not a stylistic choice,
Mm.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so we're lucky to have it as to have a stylistic choice these days. But at that time, it was really more of what technology could provide. So yeah, no, putting a game like Sense of Time into the Xbox and loading it up, I was completely blown away by one, the narrative in the game, because the
yeah.
story was great, but really it was how beautiful the world looked.
Yeah. There's so many great environments in that game.
Yeah, and the thing was, I finished the game in 2 to 3 days.
Yeah. It's so easy to
Yeah.
do with Prince of Persia because, yeah, it's you just blast through it. I mean, I've played it. I must have played it like, well, I could say hundreds, but that would be really a big stretch. But I've probably played it about like six times at least because
Yeah.
it's absolutely one of my favorites. Yeah.
I mean, especially the mechanic where you can rewind time and things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
best thing
it's not,
ever.
yes. It's not something that other games put out at that time. So I was really taken with it. And ever since then I've been following Ubisoft and the games that they made.
Mm.
And a few years later, I saw that the team that made Prince of Persia was also making Assassin's Creed. And
Oh
that
my
got me really
gosh.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was a bit of a history buff.
Mm.
So to be able to play a game like that was very interesting. In fact, it was so interesting, I went out and bought a PlayStation 3 just to play it.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
That I remember like seeing that trailer and just being so blown away by the fact that like you could try and climb on buildings and
Yeah, like at that time, being able to climb things, being able to climb an environment is not something that you really thought was possible.
It's like nowadays we sort of think like there's so many games that kind of follow the same thing as Ubisoft did way back when with Assassin's Creed, but at that time
Yeah, it's
you
come a long
just
way.
you just didn't really like see games where there's a window. I'm going to climb up to that window and then I'm going to climb on top of that window. Like just didn't happen.
Yeah, and it's like I go to the window, I climbed it, and oh my gosh, it works.
Yeah.
Can I climb to the roof? It
Yeah.
works.
can I
Oh my
jump off
gosh.
the roof? Can I stab this person? Like, what can I do? I can do anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of that possibility, endless possibilities, right? It's a sandbox.
Mm,
And yeah, so I learned that the team that made Prince of Persia also is also making Assassin's Creed. And yeah, being able to see the world being recreated in the past was amazing. And like the attention to detail, that was crazy.
which time period has been your favorite so far?
I'm gonna go with the classic,
Yeah.
which was in Assassin's Creed 2, playing
Oh,
through
yeah.
Italy.
It is so
Yeah.
good though. Like Ezio he was just epic.
Right, yeah, he's an amazing character. I think what really drew me to him as a character is that he was relatable. He was very
Mm,
human. It's
mm.
one thing. He didn't start out as an assassin. So yeah, it was pretty amazing to kind of walk in his shoes, basically.
Yeah. For so long as well. I feel like that was like an age of just playing as Ezio.
Yeah, I mean it's a testament to how good a character he was.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, oh, that must have been so amazing to just be able to work for a company as well, like the same company that made this game.
It is very much a wish fulfillment thing and a dream come true at that point. So when I heard that Ubisoft was setting up a studio in Singapore,
Mm.
I leapt at the opportunity. So at that time, I was still in school, so I wasn't quite old enough to start working there yet. But
Yeah.
I was definitely following
At
the
least you were on
news.
the right path.
Yes, so at that time, a few years later, I got into university and I was looking for my internship.
Mm.
And when that happened, um, something that took a lot of luck happened. It was
Mm.
a lot of serendipity, actually. What happened was that someone who was an alumni at the university that I was at, Singapore Management University. So his name is Don Bay. He was working at Ubisoft, and he commented on that post that he was looking for interns.
Mm.
Now, I didn't know him at that time, but I felt that was a leap of faith that I had to take.
Yeah.
Just like the characters, I needed
Yes.
to take that leap of faith. I took it. I sent him a message, and it was a miracle for me.
Yeah.
Basically, I to this day I'm still kind of pinching myself that he replied.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So he replied. I started my internship, and I continued working part time with Ubisoft for another 9 months. And when it came to completing my degree, I was kind of hoping to land a full-time role after that. And I remember I was doing doing the part-time role at Ubisoft at that time, and I was asked to go for an interview. So this interview was with the producer on Assassin's Creed Origins
Mm.
at that time. It was an interview in the morning. He put me into a room. He asked me like, okay, so what's my history, what I'm looking for, and by the afternoon, actually not even in the afternoon, it was an hour later, he told me I got the job.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah, and still, again, it's a series of like just me not believing how lucky I got.
Mm.
But after that, it was pretty hard to stay motivated at school.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like grades, no. Grades they can happen. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, going to university is to get a job, right? And I got the job,
Yeah.
and I got my dream job, and I'm like, woo,
Just give me the
that's great.
diploma.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, going on that, like with Ubisoft opening in Singapore, like what is the gaming industry scene like in Singapore?
Ah, right, right. So I think usually when people hear about the gaming scene in general, a lot of it veers towards the bigger markets like
Mm,
North America, Europe, Japan. So Singapore's gaming industry is fairly nascent compared to these markets.
mm,
So, for example, LucasArts, of course, they set up shop here in 2005, and Ubisoft only came around in 2008. So it is not particularly conventional for game studios to set up here, but there was a big push to do so about a decade ago. And there's a lot of great engineering talent here. However, when it comes to looking for senior level talents in Singapore, it's still a little bit challenging, particularly because when you're looking for senior talents in games, you kind of want them to have a broader experience working with different types of games.
Yeah.
So of course, when the scene here is a little bit newer, there isn't much before.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like chance taking.
Right. And that and also a lot of what Singapore was skewed to at that time. For example, a lot of my friends, they tend to end up working in a bank or in, say, a big multinational company. And it's not exactly the most conventional career choice when you live and grow up in Singapore.
There must have been a lot of strength that you had to have to like stick to your guns with it.
Well, I was pretty clear that I would love to make games.
Yeah.
It's really about taking the first step to me. Right, getting the foot in the door. And the thing with being in Singapore, sometimes culture can be a bit traditional in the sense that sometimes what parents know is a little bit narrow in terms of jobs that you could find. So it's always like, doctor, lawyer, banker, those few keywords that we're talking about. But I've been very fortunate to have my parents' support in terms of my career choice. So even though they're a little bit more old school and they don't exactly know what game development entails, they have been extremely supportive in terms of what I do.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important to have that.
Yeah. And the cool thing about the industry in Singapore right now is that it's been growing quite a bit in the last few years. Since 2005, we've had more gaming companies that are based out of Singapore. And the indie scene here has been growing quite a lot as well. So right now, there's definitely a lot more opportunities for people to get their foot in the door. And also in the last decade, there have been more education choices to actually study game development. So those schools also kind of connect students with jobs in the game industry as well.
I mean, so when you transitioned between Ubisoft and Mighty Bear Games, Ubisoft obviously is like PC and console centric, like AAA games and that type of thing. And then you moved to sort of a more mobile centric company. Did the change in platform affect at all like how you approached or how the environment is?
Yeah, so it's definitely different when you work with different platforms. For one, development cycles quite different. So, for example, your typical AAA console games, they could take anything from 2 to 7 years to develop. So, for example, Ghost Recon that I worked on actually took about 5 years to develop, and it was in beta for about a year or so before it had a full launch.
Jeez.
On live. Yeah.
That's just so long to be working on something, isn't it?
Right, yeah, because part of it is to do with the hardware, and you're kind of just trying to push the boundaries about it. And the thing is with mobile development, for example, it's a lot shorter. So, for example, Battle Royale was designed and developed in just 6 months with a team of 20 people. So it's kind of what we're looking here in terms of is really the difference in time scale.
Which sort of aspects do you find that you prefer? Do you prefer to have the shorter development times?
Oh yeah, so I would say it would be good to have shorter development times. Well, my general preference would be to have shorter development times, because the thing is when you have a shorter development time, it kind of forces you to be very strict with how you scope the game. And you kind of have to really ask yourself, like, if you add something new, how does it make the game better? So when we develop a game, a lot of what we talk about is having a minimum viable product. But what we do at Mighty Bear Games is that we really want to develop a minimum awesome product. So the key difference there is making sure that we kind of strip away all the parts that we feel doesn't quite contribute to the core of the game yet. And making sure that we polish that core mechanic as much as possible so that players can enjoy it. And yeah, so shorter development times for me is preferred. And when you talk about a longer development time, it's really hard for me personally, because when development takes so long, it's a bit hard to see the longer term of where that game is gonna go.
There's more time to think like, is this game going to sell as well as we hope it will?
Well, that's one of the considerations, but for me personally, as a developer and as a player, it's really to get the game in the hands of our players. Because one of the most rewarding thing as a developer is really seeing your players enjoy the game, and then they talk about it and they tell you like what they love, and if it happens to be the thing that you worked on and or your team that's worked really hard on that, it's very rewarding. And so, for example, with Battle Royale, the game launched over the Lunar New Year period. So when I was visiting with my family, I handed the phone to my nephews to play the game. And the cool thing was that I have 4 nephews. So when I handed the phone to one of them, they started playing. My other nephews came and they wanted to play as well. I only had one phone, but so they went and borrowed. Yeah, they went and borrowed the phones from their parents to play the games.
That is so
and then
cool.
Yeah, and that was the fun part, because I was kind of holding my breath with the kids, because sometimes kids can be very brutal with their feedback. So lucky for us, lucky for me, my nephews kept playing the game, and they kept playing for 2 hours to the point where to the point where my sisters came to me and they were like, maybe they should stop playing because they've been playing for quite a while.
Yeah.
But then they saw what they were playing, and my nephews got their parents to play with them.
Oh.
Yeah, so it got to a situation where my brothers-in-law got involved as well. And the really cool thing was, a few days later, I found out that my brother-in-law had the highest level out of anyone in my family. Yeah, so he's like 43.
Oh, and he was very proud of himself.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm at level 10. I'm like, how? It was just a few days.
Yeah. But yeah, that must be just so empowering.
Yeah, it is. The thing is, when you make a game, you really want you want to put it out there. You really hope that people enjoy what you do. It's kind of a validation of the hard work that you've put in.
Yeah, and when you have to wait like 5 years to get that validation, that must just be so destroying.
I mean, the games are a different kind of complexity, so it does take a while. So really, for personal preference, I really do prefer to get the validation sooner rather than later. Yeah,
just to make sure that you're on the right path as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it seems to happen quite a lot within the industry where you end up leaving companies while you're mid-project. But did you find it hard to leave Ubisoft without Skull and Bones having shipped yet, despite working on it for like over 2 years?
Yeah, well, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, what you really want to do is have players validate the game as soon as possible, not just from a developer's perspective, but really in terms of making sure that things run smoothly. You want to know that your game is doing well, and getting it out there early means that you get feedback early as well. And the thing is, when you have the game out there, you can really get the community around the game involved a lot more. So in terms of like when they give feedback and things like that, it really helps you to shape the game and to really have a good direction for how to improve it.
And I guess that's the thing, like when Skull and Bones does release, like it might even be like completely different to how you remember it.
I would be excited to see it, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, like it must just be such a weird experience.
Well, it not entirely. because you kind of go in knowing that development times are usually a bit longer.
Yeah.
But then again, time and tide waits for no man or
Yes.
woman.
Yeah.
So when the opportunity for Mighty Bear Games came along, I leapt at the chance because chances like these don't come very often.
No.
Yeah, so the opportunity to shape and grow a team is something that's really close to my heart.
And this way you get to be Claire Bear, Mama Bear.
Yes, I get a really cool bear name, and I'm gonna get a bear portrait soon.
Yay, bear portrait! They're so cute. Seriously, guys, go on the website and check out on Mighty Bear Games all of the bear doodles because they are adorable.
Thank you.
And like sort of getting on to the industry in Singapore, there are actually like quite a few gaming companies like Daylight Studio all in that same area where you are at the moment, with networking being like so important in the industry. Do you find that you get together much with other industry people in your field?
Mighty Bear Games is located at Block 71. This is a little bit west of Singapore, and this is where most of Singapore's startups and gaming startups are based in. So we do frequently meet with other gaming studios in the area. For example, our CTO, Fazuli, he has a tech discussion forum where he kind of gets together with other technical leads in the other studios and kind of discuss things that they're working on right now from a technical perspective. So we are also in contact with the team from Battle Brew. They kind of pop by often to chat with us and share their experiences working on Apple Arcade as we do. Personally, I would certainly like more opportunities for these to happen a little bit more frequently, because I firmly believe that as a studio that's grown out of Singapore as well, if a Singaporean studio does well, really the whole ecosystem, the whole game development ecosystem in Singapore benefits. So it's things like easier access to get funding and talent, but pretty much is to make sure that we create a virtuous cycle, basically. So when we help one another, it kind of goes around, we share our learnings, we share our mistakes, and just kind of help to build on that with one another. And I would say it's kind of what I really respected for the Finnish games industry, for example. So what they do a lot there is just sharing information with between studios to make sure that they grow as a whole.
Because I guess that's the thing, like you are really all in it together, aren't you, to build up Singapore's reputation within the games industry as a whole?
Yeah, exactly. So if we can do that, we're making sure that we're growing more talents as well.
All right. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you. But thank you so much for coming on this with me.
All right. Thank you for having me.
It's been so great to speak to you.
Yeah, it's been great speaking with you too.
That's it for this episode of She Plays Games. If you want more episodes, please be sure to subscribe and follow me on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube by searching She Plays Games, and on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at She Plays Podcast. Also, if you want to find out more about Mighty Bear Games, their website is mightybeargames.com. If you want to be on the show or want to nominate someone to come on the show, you can email me at sheplayspodcast@gmail.com. See you all next time on She Plays Games.